Hello everyone, welcome to our lecture video about assessment. Today we will talk about test, measurement, assessment, and evaluation. These are the basic concepts and definitions related to assessment in learning. This is also known as TMAE or TMAE. These four basic terms lay down the foundations of this subject assessment in learning. These are often used interchangeably in the world of education, but they have their own specific scope, limitations, and boundaries. That is why it is very important that we learn each term. Let us begin with test. By the way, what comes to your mind when you hear the word test? Is it torturing every student tremendously? I hope it's not, because test is fun. We know that tests are usually given after teaching to determine how much the students have learned about the lesson or if they have attained the lesson objectives. It will also reveal what the students know and what the students doesn't know, what they understood and what are their misconceptions, misunderstandings about the lesson. And after the test, teacher will then elaborate or clarify items that are heavily missed during the test. But what is a test? A test is actually a tool or method designed to obtain information of what students know, can do, and be able to do. That is why tests are usually given after teaching, because we have to gather information if the students learned something from our discussion, or what are the things that we need to reteach, what are the things that we need to refocus in order to help the students or in order to clarify things. And we are also aware that we can also give a test before the class to determine their stock knowledge and how well they know about the topic, and this can also be a basis as a starting point of discussion. So, test is just an instrument to determine the level of their abilities, knowledge, talents, skills, competencies, and understanding about a certain topic. And test refers to a variety of techniques used to obtain information and to measure learning targets in the form of paper and pencil test, oral questioning, performance test, and product assessment. Paper and pencil test is just one way to test students, or it's just one way to gather information about the learning of the students. There are other methods aside from it, because there are competencies or domains that cannot be measured by paper and pencil tests. If you are in psychomotor domain, you might conduct performance test or product assessment for you to get desired results. The type of test you will use depends on the objective. The type of test must be valid and appropriate to the given objectives or domains of learning in order to get proper evidence of learning. Paper and pencil test will reveal information about what the students know and doesn't know. Performance test and product assessment will give information of what the students can do and cannot do. And behaviors are directly observable. You can notice immediately if they have acquired the knowledge and skills successfully. In summary, there are multiple methods that we can use to gather information or to validate or verify students' learning. That is why we have to plan the test carefully. We have to make it valid and appropriate. The next term that we are going to discuss is measurement, and it is defined as the process of associating numbers to a given object or events. In assessment, it means process of assigning scores with respect to the criteria or correct answer. It simply means scoring system. If you are using paper and pencil test, it begins with checking or validating if the answers are correct or wrong. Then we have to count the total number of correct answers to determine the score over the total number of points. Our tool for checking or scoring is the answer key or key to corrections. If it is a performance-based assessment, we need to use a scoring guide or rubrics. And in measurement, it is important that we inform the learners in advance on how many points they will get in every item. Say for example, an essay, how many points they will get? Is it 5 points? Is it 10 points? And true or false, is it 1 point each or 2 points each? For performance assessments, which among the criteria will be given more points so that learners can exert extra effort on that particular aspect for them to get good grades? And measurement is assigning numerical description or quality of description such as star, smiley face, happy face, or very good. So we assign numbers after checking. We get the total score over the total number of points. Sometimes we express in percentage, and even to the extent of using transmutation tables, such as if you have a score of 26 over 30, your grade is 1.75. And if you have a score of 29 over 30, then your grade is 1.25. Sometimes we use symbols to describe quality of the performance or product. We can observe this in primary schools and in elementary schools. But this is still very effective in high school and higher education. We qualify our scores by giving justice why we gave them a score of 85 over 100 or 90 over 100 or 100 over 100. We will try to defend and reason out about the score that we assign to a certain product or performance. Measurement is a process of quantifying or qualifying the degree of performance with respect to the criteria or the correct answer. And measurement can be objective or subjective in scoring. Objective scoring may accept one correct answer only. An example for this is multiple choice and true or false. Objective scoring uses answer key or key to correction, while subjective scoring may accept multiple answers. With this, it might be affected by raters' opinion or bias. Example activity for this may include essay, drawing, and role play. For essay, we need to prepare keywords, or it would be better if we can make a model answer. Take note, it is very important that we can answer our own test or activities or questions. It would be very difficult to score if we don't know what are the correct answers or what is the idea or picture of the best answer or what is the best performance or how the best performance looks like. And the next thing that we are going to discuss is assessment. After successfully conducting a test and after checking or scoring students' output, performances, or papers of the student, it is now time for assessment. And it says here, it is a process of gathering and organizing evidences of learning to make informed decisions. The first keyword is gathering. It is highlighted in yellow. This is like after checking together with your students, you collect the papers from the highest score. The teacher will say, who got 20? And the students will start handing over their papers. Who got 19? Who got 18? Who got 17? Who got 16? And if you have noticed that most of the students have passed their papers, you will say, please pass the rest of the papers because it is very shameful if the lowest score, one kid, will hand in their paper and everybody will notice that he got the lowest score. And I will give you a tip. After collecting all the papers, you you are going to examine what is the lowest score. Say for example, the lowest score is 10. I will announce to the class that the lowest score is 8, so that the learner with the lowest score, which is 10, will say, "Thank you, Lord, I am not the lowest score." And there is a psychological effect on that. And please do not let your student shout their scores, such as calling their family names alphabetically, and they will say their scores, and everybody would know what is your score. It's okay if you have a good score, but if you have a low score, it's another story. It is somewhat demotivating on the part of the learner. The second keyword is organizing, and it is highlighted in blue. Organizing is like you shuffle the papers of the students after checking. You arrange it from highest to lowest, and then you are going to recognize if most of the papers are high, if most of the papers are low. Then you can make a decision whether to reteach the lesson or proceed to the next topic. And assessment is a process of gathering, collecting, organizing, presenting, recording quantitative and qualitative data into an interpretable form to have a basis for judgment. So these are the keywords for assessment. So we have here gathering, collecting, organizing, presenting, and recording. Recording as in writing the scores in the class record. Organizing means you group all the quizzes, assignments, long quiz, performance activities, major exams in your class record. Then you get percentage of every grading component to make it presentable, and so that interpretation of the data is very easy and judgment of the data is very easy as well. According to Huba and Fred in 2000, assessment is a systematic process of gathering data related to student learning and experience for the purpose of developing a deep understanding of what students know, understand, and can do with their knowledge as a result of their educational experience. The process culminates when the assessment results are used to improve subsequent learning. Let us remember that we gather data not to label the learners as advanced learners, average learners, or low learners. There are multiple reasons and benefits of conducting assessment. First, we can determine if the learners have attained our lesson objectives. Another thing, it would determine how much the students have learned and how much they have understand the lesson. And it will also reveal their strengths and weaknesses, talents and skills as a result of their educational experience. And as a teacher, we can evaluate if our teaching strategy is effective. The instructional materials are effective, and thus it contributes to the attainment of the lesson and greater learning of the students. And conducting assessment can be a basis of giving scaffolding, recommendations, suggestions, and giving feedback to the learners. According to Huba and Fred, the process culminates when assessment results are used to improve subsequent learning. How are we going to make it happen? So we have to return the test papers. We have to give our feedback to the learners. Our assessment process is useless if we keep the results to ourselves. We need to feed back the feedback to our learners so that they will improve, so that they will reflect. With this, we might open chances for more learning opportunities. If we are not going to return the papers, if we are not going to give feedback, they might assume that their performances is okay, that their performances is good. Lastly, we have evaluation. This is the time that we gave meaning to the value of the organized data. We make interpretation and analysis out of it. This is the moment that some students are very happy with the score of 7 out of 10, while some students are still disappointed with the score of 9 over 10. So it depends on the students on how we gave meaning. So again, we gave tests, we scored the activities of the students, and we try to organize it. And we can feel it if most of the scores are high and most of the scores are low. So if most of the scores are high, meaning we can make a decision. We can proceed to the next topic. If most of the scores are low, maybe we need to discuss the topics that are heavily missed by the learners. And evaluation is a process of systematic interpretation, analysis, appraisal, or judgment of the worth of organized data. And it involves judgment about desirability of changes in students. Based on the organized data, which is the assessment stage, say for example, you notice that one of your students got a relatively low score. You can make analysis by looking back into your records or review your computations if it is correct or if it needs to be changed. And based on the records, you can draw out interpretations, analysis, appraisal, and judgment that this particular learner got a low score because he missed one major activity, or his percentage in quiz is low, or to whatever reason you discover in reviewing your class record. Evaluation is the process of examining students' performance, whether the students have met or not met the instructional objectives. And these are the 4 basic terms: test, measurement, assessment, and evaluation. Let us remember that tests are tools or methods to obtain information or to obtain evidences of learning. And measurement is the checking or the scoring system. And assessment is the collecting, organizing, recording, or documenting. And evaluation is the giving of meaning to the results of tests, and we make decisions. And these 4 terms occurs in chronological progression. The previous step is very important before you can proceed to the next activity or before you can proceed to the next step. And this test, measurement, assessment, and evaluation is chronological, and it will never be interchanged nor occur together. Test must come first, followed by measurement. After measurement, you go to assessment, and after assessment, you go to evaluation. And it will never be interchanged, like test first, then you go to assessment, you go back to measurement. It's not possible to interchange the process nor occur together, like test and measurement will occur together, like measurement and assessment will occur together. The previous is a prerequisite of the other. So test first, followed by measurement. After measurement, you go to assessment. After assessment, you go to evaluation. And again, they are chronological. It will never ever be interchanged nor occur together. And there are boundaries of these terms. Test begins by identifying the coverage of the test. What are the topics that you will include in your exam? And it will end when all students have completed the test or task. Measurement begins with checking or scoring, and it will end by writing the total score of the exam or activity. Assessment begins with recording, collecting, or organizing, and it will end when you compute the final grade in your class record. And evaluation begins when you gave meaning to the final grade, and it ends when results are communicated to students, parents, and other stakeholders. That would be all for today. If you learned something, please hit like, and subscribe if you want to learn more. Bye bye.